Hi, I'm a knife collector, and this is a very expensive knife. I sold 3 knives to be able to buy this one knife, and I don't regret it. So today on episode 4 of Gift Guide for Your Gear Geek, we're going splurging. All right, Lyle here, BUCKSGEARBOX. Welcome back to the table. Really excited to share this episode 4 with you of the 2022 Gift Guide for Your Gear Geeks. And in this episode, we're going to go a little bit crazy. We're going to start at the $250 mark, and we're going to just go higher and higher and higher. Yeah, there are some really expensive knives out there. That's not necessarily what this video is about, but yeah, you're going to have some sticker shock if you've not known this before. If you haven't seen parts 1, 2, or 3, part 1 was the $50 mark, part 2 was $100, and part 3 was up to $250. Go check those out sometime. We're going to be looking at high-end production knives, not custom knives, because that is a whole other level that I don't have a whole lot of experience in. As most EDC geeks already know, when you get up to this level of quality, USA made knives from USA manufacturers primarily, although not all of them are, then scarcity is a real deal. It's hard to find some of these. It's often you want to go buy one and they're not in stock and you have to wait. So availability is kind of hit and miss. That's just kind of comes with the territory. But I'm going to do my best to show you what is in stock right now, especially at River's Edge Cutlery, where I'm an affiliate. I'll have links down below if you want to go shopping there. It will help the channel and I appreciate it. I'm also going to have some links to some other knife shops online that I don't have really a relationship with, but I've bought stuff from them before and can recommend them. And everything that I'm going to show you is something that I've either accepted at the very end. You'll see when we get there. But everything up to the end, and I'll tell you when that is something that I've owned or borrowed for a review or played with at the River's Edge Cutlery shop or borrowed from a friend. And if that's not true, then they just have an awesome reputation and they're on my wish list. So let's get into it now. The first one I want to show you today is this Tour Knives Merchant 2.0. I mentioned this in the last video. I think I even showed it to you. Let's blow things up here a little bit. These are fantastic knives, and they give kind of a Chris Reeve-like experience in their smoothness and their tolerances for quite a bit less, even though this is still an expensive knife. The smoothness is just off the charts. It's a great, great knife. It's from a USA made manufacturer. Connor Tour is, I believe, out west, and he makes these. He's a military guy, and it's really easy for me to think I'm going to support him. So I purchased this one. I really like it a lot. It's an easy recommend, and it is one of the least expensive knives on this list, believe it or not. On to the next. We're going to talk zero tolerance knives. I mentioned those in the previous video too, because they do have some cheaper knives than this price point. But Zero Tolerance has a relationship with Rick Hinderer where they use some of his designs and they produce them at a steadier clip. And so the next 3 knives I'm going to show you are all Rick Hinderer designed zero tolerance knives, starting with this one, the 0562. It's a titanium carbon fiber on one side and titanium on the other, 20 CV steel. This is very much like a Hinderer XM18, and it's a cheaper way to getting into one of those. Also, it's way more available. Next, we have kind of the next level up of the same thing in some ways. The Zero Tolerance 0562 Ti, which is, it's full titanium on both sides of the handle scales. So similar knife. A lot of people feel like this one works better for whatever reason. I don't own these, but I'm just letting you know that that's what I've heard. Next on the list is the Zero Tolerance 0393, and this is also a Hinderer. I think it's based on the Eclipse model. And this has a carbon fiber onlay, carbon fiber cover on the titanium scales that glows in the dark. I'll show you a little picture here. It is on both sides. You can see it kind of barely glows. It's not super bright, but the idea is if you're looking for it at night, you'll be able to see it. Also, it's based on the Eclipse, which is a very highly sought after Hinderer designed knife, and I would say that the Eclipse is more rare and harder to get than the XM18. So if you want an Eclipse, can't find one, or just want a cheaper version of a similar thing, get the ZT. Next, one of my favorite companies, I told you that in the video before, Microtech Knives. When you get up into this price range, typically it means you're looking at a special Protech or a custom Protech, what they call them, or one that's maybe a little bit rare. And you can see right off the bat, we've got this Damascus steel, Vegas forged Damascus, not just any old, plain old Damascus steel. This Del Fuego aluminum on the scales, very cool stuff. Much like the River's Edge Cutlery woodland camo. It's a very interesting thing that they're doing with their knives now, coming up with these really cool colorways. I would love to get myself one of these Protech BR1 whiskers. These are pretty cool. I'm going to open this one up and show it to you. It has a bolster right here that you move, and as you move it off to the side, not forward, it opens the knife. It is an automatic and it fires out. It's just so awesome. Protech knives are so cool. I really dig this one, and I played with it in the store. It's definitely on my list, although I'm not a big fan of the tuxedo colorway. I just want one of the plain old knives. It's very cool. Let's go down here. Here's some more of the River's Edge Cutlery custom colors. Here is a really, really fancy custom Sprint, and they call this the Wave Titanium and Spirograph Damascus. Very, very cool looking knife. This is a really small knife if you're into that. I wanted to talk a little bit about their bronze medley of metals. Yeah, so these scales are bronze with aluminum mixed in somehow. I don't know. These guys are wizards at what they do. Very, very cool stuff. And if you ever see one of the Protech knives described as an operator, that means it's entirely blacked out, like this CQC7. We're going to check it out right now a little bit closer. And it has a little bit of tritium right here in the button so that you can see it in the dark. Otherwise, it's straight black. There's no markings on it. There's no letters or numbers or anything. No writing whatsoever. It's simply blacked out and very cool. These are pretty well sought after. People love these. I'm kind of surprised it's still here. I just want to mention something. It's interesting to me that when I was planning this video, there was a Protech Runt 5 that had a sapphire blue blade, and that has been bought. And I was planning this video less than 3 hours ago. I was writing out the script. That's how fast some of these things go. On to the next, Liong Mah Knives. Now, Liong Mah is a really cool guy. He has a history as a chef, like a really good chef. And then he got into designing knives. So if you notice, some of his knife designs look a little bit like kitchen knives in a folding knife platform. Definitely got some inspiration from there. I have a Liong Mah that I don't have with me right now because it is at the River's Edge Cutlery custom shop getting a really cool Cerakote job on it right now. Can't wait to show that to you. And but I can definitely recommend these knives. They're designed by Liong Mah. They are produced by Reeve Knives, who is well known for high quality knives. They are definitely expensive, but they're one of the few OEM manufacturers that I really definitely am always impressed with. I'm thinking that if I got a next Liong Mah knife, it would probably be the kitchen utility folder EDC. Really like the shape of this. I like the blade shape, and the build quality is going to be excellent because it's Liong Mah and Reeve. On to the next. Okay, so Microtech Knives. Here's the thing. We could be on this page forever because River's Edge Cutlery just got a massive shipment of Microtech in, and I don't even know if they've gotten them all on the website yet because they had so many, but there are quite a few here. And you know, Microtech is specifically known for the out the front automatic knives, and they're kind of the king of the out the fronts. You kind of can't go wrong here. So what I wanted to do was point out some of the more special editions that are probably going to sell out faster than the more kind of base models that you can get any old time. Starting with this Daytona right up here. This is a pretty cool design. It's got carbon fiber inlays in it, and it's got the bronze stonewash finish on the blade, which is always really cool. I'm probably showing you some B-roll right now of my Microtech. It's a UTX 85. It's the smaller size Ultratech. I love it. It's got the bronze apocalyptic finish. It was one that popped up on the internet somewhere, and it was an insta buy because I knew it was going to sell out very quickly, and it did. Let's move on down here a little bit. You get the Makora, which is a little bit different version of it's a similar knife to the Ultratech, but it has some inlays in it. It's shaped a little bit differently. Microtech's flagship is the Ultratech, which is the full size, which is right here. Of course, these pictures they're not really showing the size difference, but the UTX 85 means it's 85% the size of the base model Ultratech, and then the UTX 70 is 70%, so it's definitely the smallest one. It's very, very small, very easy to carry for sure. And I definitely wanted to show you these because these are pretty rare. This is the Warhound blade shape. And I'm going to open this one up so we can look at it a little bit closer. And it is really stinking cool. Might be a little bit scary for everyday carry depending on where you work and where you take it. But I kind of actually like this blade shape as a utility knife. It's kind of like a really mean looking Wharncliffe, and I really dig it. The holes are just for fun. Okay, let's take a look at this combat Troodon as well. If you see the word Troodon, that means it's a kind of a big knife. It's one of the bigger Microtech knives you can get. So it fills your whole hand. It's pretty big. If you see the combat Troodon, it's even bigger than that. It's like a 9.5-inch long knife. Kind of does what it says on the tin. It's like a combat knife. It's no joke. It's a Rambo knife that's an automatic. This thing is huge. Cool. But they're kind of too big for my taste, and they're really, really expensive, as you can see. There's a couple of more that I want to point out. There's this stitch, which is really cool. This is a half serrated stitch. It is one of their out the side knives that's really, really great. And I think they have a non-serrated version in stock as well right now, which is interesting. Here is another interesting blade shape called the Hellhound, and it's just kind of an upswept Tonto instead of being a Wharncliffe, and it's equally as cool. I wanted to show you this guy right here. I'm a big Star Wars fan. You can tell from the shirt maybe. And this is the Combat Troodon, which is the big boy, 9.5-inch long. This is a huge knife, and it is in the Bounty Hunter colorway, which is definitely an ode to your favorite Star Wars villain. Well, might be. I don't know if you saw the series or not, but I still love Boba Fett. Very cool stuff. Microtech is known for its really cool designs here. You know what you're looking at if you're a Star Wars geek. And it's just really, really a cool knife. Obviously, you're talking big, big money here. What is happening? No, I do not want to buy that. Sorry, honey, I accidentally bought an $800 knife. That's not going to go over well. I want to point out that I forgot about, this is the Microtech Hera. And then just a little bit more of a sleek design with a cool, really what I think is a cooler pocket clip. I don't actually like the base model pocket clips for Microtechs. I just think they're a little bit too big. But this one is a little bit more interesting to me, a little more elegant. I really like the style. I like the ball. It helps get your knife in and out of the pocket. Here's another Star Wars knife, the Jedi Master. And I believe there's another one down here, the Jedi Knight. Yep. And my favorite of that series, I think by far, is the Sand Trooper. I just think that colorway is so cool, the way it already looks really, really worn in and old. I like that kind of thing. A couple others, the Microtech Dirac, which has its button is on the flat part of the knife handles. This is very cool. It's just a very different way, and I find it really smooth. I've played with these in the store, and I like them a lot. And this is the stitch. If I was going to get a stitch, it would be this guy right here, the non-serrated version. This is not going to be here very long. It's going to sell for sure. It's just a hard firing automatic knife with a wicked look. I love the look of this thing. I've played with them before and they're pretty awesome. All right, so with Microtech knives, the kind of the trick is figuring out which permutation of a Microtech that you want, what size you want, whether you want the Ultratech, the 85 or the 70, or if you want one of the more specialized knives like the Dirac or the Daytona or a signature series. There's all kinds of different ways they produce these and different combinations of different elements that come out. And so like half the battle is figuring out what you want and then waiting until it drops and then buying it. So kind of being ready to buy the exact thing that you want when it drops. They put out a lot of knives, but they put out so many different ones that it's sometimes hard to find the exact one you want. So it's just kind of a waiting game. And sometimes the ones that you want, like the Stitch or the Star Wars inspired knives, are just really rare and they don't drop very often. So you just kind of got to be ready. Now, speaking of rarity, we're going to get into some knives that pop up occasionally and sell out immediately, especially these next two American makers on my list. Number one is Hinderer Knives. Now, REC just had some of these in and they're gone. And right now, all you can buy from their website are the scales and some of the hardware. And these are Hinderer makes excellent knives. I'm showing you an XM18 right now, 3.5 inch. The skinny, there's actually a beefier version of this knife, and it is, you know, even the skinny is just kind of enormous. It is a hard use knife. It was made here in Ohio where I live. I got to shake Rick Hinderer's hand at the REC grand opening event. Super cool. And I'm a big fan of his knives. And yeah, they're just kind of hard to get because people want them so bad that as soon as they drop, they sell out immediately. So it's one of those things where if you know you want it, be ready. If you see it, get it then. It'll be gone in 5 minutes. Not exaggerating. All right, next we have Spartan Blades, and you can find their fixed blades. They are pretty often available at River's Edge Cutlery and other retailers, and they are awesome. No question about it. But this is a huge knife right here, and it's not what I would call everyday carry. So this would be for another video. I do really want one of these though. I kind of like this one with the recurve. Super cool. But what I'm talking about is the Spartan Harsey folder, and I'm going to show you a couple right now that I have, and we can pull some older ones up on the website, so I can show you what they look like in the store. These are awesome, like hard use knives. They kind of, in my mind, they kind of are in between Hinderer and Chris Reeve knives as far as they're both elegant and they are hard use, and they kind of bridge the gap for me personally. I really like Spartan Harsey folders quite a bit. I have two of them, and I've got one in the full size, one in the 3.25 size, and I like them both for very different reasons. Very cool knives. They're the same thing, just one's bigger and one's smaller. In a way, they were designed to be that size, very much intentionally. But definitely can't go wrong with Spartan Harsey. They sometimes come out with really cool designs like this one. The Watchworks is a really cool one that came out. I believe this one was last year. They come up with new designs and etchings each year. I really like this one. This would be the one that I would get if they were in stock and I had lots of money. Check that out. It's a cool pattern. Really like that a lot. All right, now moving on, we're going to go to a brand that River's Edge Cutlery does not carry, and we're going to go to one of my other recommended stores, DLT Trading, and we're going to look at Oliamic Cutlery. Now, the base models of these knives are right around the same price as a Hinderer or a Chris Reeve knife or a Spartan Harsey folder. As you get into the more crazy designs of these knives, they really skyrocket in price. As you can see on the page right here. I don't really have to explain that as long as you can read it. If you're on your phone and you can't read this, these are $1,500 knives. Now, I'm not in the market, and I probably will never be in the market for a knife that's that expensive. I do have one of the base models of the Wayfarer 247, and I can wholeheartedly recommend it if it fits in your budget. It is such a cool knife. It's one of my favorite knives in my collection. I'm going to see if I can find one here on the website while you're looking at the one I'm showing you in the B-roll, because even though it's still stupid expensive, it's definitely not as bad as $1,500. And you see here, and these are actually kind of upgraded models from the base model that I have. Mine was quite a bit cheaper, but they have, you know, special inlays on the handles, call it purple twill, and it's got different permutations from the base model knife. Just a very, very cool knife. I love the pistol grip of this knife. It fits in my hand perfectly. The blade shape is wicked. Mine is a Tonto shape. But this is a really fantastic knife. And this is, again, unfortunately, it's one of the cheaper ones, although mine was a lot better price than this. But yeah, if you're in the market for something a little bit different, to me, Oliamic is kind of a little bit underrated. And I think it's probably because people see them and they see that price tag and they think, oh, I'd rather just get a Chris Reeve or a Hinderer or something like that. That's a little more affordable. But again, the base models of the Wayfarer 247 are right around the same price point as those. And it's a fantastic knife. Again, one of the favorites in my collection. So I'm putting my recommendation on it if you're up for that level of budget. All right, moving on to one of my favorite knife designers, Chris Reeve Knives. You will see that there are some in stock at River's Edge Cutlery right now, and these are they're not all the most expensive models, but some of them are. And then look, there's a base model right down here. Still expensive. These are premium knives for sure. But I'm showing you some right now on the B-roll. I love Chris Reeve Knives. For me, this is just an iconic knife company. The Sabenza is so amazing. The fit and finish, it's everyday usable, and yet it feels like it will outlive me by a long shot. It's literally something I probably will be able to hand down to my kids. Tight tolerances, the buttery smooth action, as well as the way that it looks. You know, a lot of folks poo-poo these knives, but it's usually due to the price, and yes, they're expensive, or it's due to the fact that they really don't fidget very well. They're not fast flicking open knives. They're very smooth. They have a very smooth action. And some people just don't like that. But I'm really happy with the way these things break in and get just buttery smooth and let it be what the designer wanted it to be. It's kind of perfect. The small Sabenza in Box Elder in Magna Cut is my favorite knife in my collection. And this is the one, again, I showed you at the beginning that I sold 3 knives to be able to get this one. And I don't regret it at all. Absolutely worth it. I'm not even sure if I remember which knives I sold to get this. Now, this is the end of the list of knives that I've had some real world experience with and can recommend because I've owned, borrowed, or reviewed, or at least played with them in the store for more than a few minutes. This next thing I want to do is I set the filter really high to like almost $500 up to $2,000 at River's Edge Cutlery. And we're just going to see what's on this list together. And as I scroll down, if I see anything that's super interesting, I'll stop and take a look. So this is unscripted. We're just going to see what pops up. It might be a total dud. And if it is, I'll edit this out. So we saw the Chris Reeves before. They do sell some of their knives in these cool, unique graphics. And they are definitely more expensive. They also get Chad Nichols Damascus steel in either ladder Damascus or boomerang Damascus, or I think they have one called raindrop Damascus that just, it's a very high end and capable steel for Damascus steel. Sometimes with Damascus, you don't know exactly what you're getting, how long it's going to hold an edge, that kind of thing. But with Chad Nichols Damascus, I've heard from many people that it is really, really good, and you get your money's worth from it. There's more of these unique graphic ones. This is an interesting company. I don't know anything about this, but this is a pretty awesome knife. Attention to detail, MK1 large. Pretty awesome design on there. Almost $1,000. Here's one of the Microtechs. I think I glanced at this one as we were scrolling through there, but it's just one of the signature series. It's got carbon fiber and it's got a Damascus blade on it as well. Here's an interesting one with Chad Nichols Damascus, and we're going to open this one up because this is actually, you know, a lot of people might think this is kind of a gimmick, but Boker got pieces of a Tiger tank from World War II and made a knife out of it, and that's just really cool. They also have one, I believe, that was made from pieces of a Sherman tank, that I think is, you can't find it anymore unless it's on the secondary. But this is really, really cool. And I think that REC had this on sale a while back for quite a bit cheaper than the list price. All right, moving on. Let's see what else is down here. Okay, all these are out of stock. We've reached the out of stock part. But yeah, they've had some Sharp by Design in. They've had other Chris Reeves, lots and lots and lots of different Microtechs. They have McNeese knives. They're a dealer for McNeese, and this is a cool knife. And there you go. Now we see some Hinderers, as they were in shop at one time, and now they are gone, as well as some Spartan Harsey folders. Cool stuff here. All right, moving on, and what we're going to do next. I am a River's Edge Cutlery fanatic. I love that shop. It's my hometown shop. I live an hour away. I work 5 minutes away, and they're my friends. I really like them a lot. So, and I'm also an affiliate with the shop, so I appreciate them very much supporting my channel. I support them as well, for sure. But there are a couple of other cool shops on the internet for sure, which I already took you to DLT Trading. There's a couple of other shops that I've bought from that I would recommend. Knife Center, that's a great place. If you're interested in some cool videos on YouTube, if you haven't already checked them out. The Knives of the Week videos are really cool. David Anderson really knows his stuff well, and I watch them all the time. If you want to go crazy and see some really expensive high-end stuff, Recon 1 and Arizona Custom Knives are fun places to go and just check out what's in stock and just see what's out there. They definitely have some of the more expensive brands, and so I only ever window shop. So yeah, we're gonna go to Recon 1 and check out 3 different brands of extremely premium knives. And these are some that I have actually held, even though it was only for a few moments, each one of these. And one of them is Rockstead. If money were no object, I would truly love to own one of these knives. They're kind of works of art. They're beautiful. They mirror polish everything. They get them to such a high Rockwell hardness rating that you can't scratch them easily. And they're just made of premium materials, and they're kind of like the Japanese swords of the knife world. They're just absolutely fantastic. I believe the one that I held was this one right here. Ironically, one of the cheaper ones, and it was still the smoothest action I've ever felt in a pocket knife. Just amazing. Next thing I wanted to show you is Spartan Knives. I don't know if I pronounced that well or not. And these can run the gamut from their base models from around $600 all the way up. Of course, they don't have very many in stock. This is another company where they sell out very quickly. But these are also very smooth. Some of these have, some folding knives have a row of bearings around the pivot that cause the flicking action to be super smooth. Some of the Spartan knives have 2 rows of bearings, and they're silky smooth. They're kind of like perfect action, some of these knives. I believe this is similar to the one that I played with, this Quantum Ursus. It might be the exact one, although I think it was a Knife Center exclusive that I played with, and it's just amazing, for sure. These are technically production knives, but if you go to Arizona Custom Knives, you'll see a lot of pocket knives that are like these, that are just, I always want to think that I would use every knife that I own, but I don't think I would use one of these. They're just works of art. They're absolutely beautiful, and they're ridiculously expensive. I kind of wanted to show you something kind of up close here. One of the cool things that Recon 1 does is they make little videos of the knives being opened and closed, so you can see what you're getting. And the videos do a little bit more justice to the beauty of these knives than the pictures do. So we're going to check this out together right here. We're going to go full screen. I'm going to mute that. And I just wanted to kind of let you see this. It's an absolute work of art. It's kind of gruesome. Yeah. I don't know about you, but I'm just kind of gawking at this thing right now. Pretty sweet. All right. And if you have $3,500, you could own that work of art right there. Okay, so this is the end of the video. We went a little bit crazy. My favorites on my list are the ones that I like and I have are the CRK Sabenzas and the Oliamic Cutlery Wayfarer, with the Spartan Harsey folders coming in a very close third. If you can trade for, save up, or splurge to these price points, I don't think you'd be disappointed with any of those three knives. And if you are, the secondary market will treat you really well. These get traded and they sell really well in secondary, though I would caution you to be wary of the upgraded models, like the special graphics models, the Damascus steel models that are more expensive than the base models. Those can be harder to sell just simply because they're more expensive, and most people would rather buy just a plain one. Well, hey, thank you so much for joining me for this video series. This is the first time I've done anything quite like this. If you enjoyed it, please give me a like or subscribe to the channel. There will be more content in the coming days. I usually do way shorter videos than this, but I kind of wanted to do this for the holiday shopping season and see if I could help people out there. Thanks a lot for watching. Happy Thanksgiving and Happy Christmas.